So good morning, Dr. Habib. Welcome. Why don't we start in general? ABMS, what is it?
First of all, I would like to thank you and KyivPost for the invitation to introduce ABMS and the virtual education. ABMS is a private independent university in Switzerland, established 4 years ago. We are offering to students from all over the world. Today we have students from nearly 120 countries, a virtual education, an education which is new trend of education. It's not an online education, it's not traditional education, it's an education where students and teachers meet online on a daily basis, live.
Why ABMS? Why not all these other schools that we hear about that are online? What makes it different?
Because we are unique. Most schools are offering, or universities offering, this traditional education where you go to sit in a class and listen to a professor, or an online education where the university are sending you the materials and you are having to attend it by yourself, to study by yourself. At ABMS, we give you on a daily basis professor who is teaching around 30 students per class, live, and introducing everything about the topic. So you have a support on a daily basis from our team.
We're seeing more and more of these online education, like Harvard is now finally getting into it. All the top universities are discovering now that people are coming from everywhere. So is ABMS any different, or what?
Most of the universities today, we have actually around 100 partner universities all over the world. We have partner universities mainly from Eastern Europe. We have almost covered the whole Eastern Europe. We are trying to introduce as well the new technology to universities. So it is quite a new idea coming. Most of the universities now started to introduce the online education, but no university is offering the virtual education. We are the first in Switzerland which is a totally virtual university. We are teaching the same way where universities are teaching, but on an online basis. We have professors from all over the world. Where you study in an online school or a business school or on-campus school, you have usually professors 80 or 90% from one country. With ABMS, we have professor almost in each topic. We have professor from different countries. We have from Switzerland for sure. We have from US, from UK, from Malaysia, from Egypt, from Saudi Arabia. So we have professors who are teaching you in different ways. So you will get more international experience studying from your home country.
Is there some sort of a stigma that it's not as real as a school as a traditional bricks and mortar, and how do you see it? How do you see that working, being taken? I mean, what is the legitimacy of a diploma?
I studied myself as well in traditional schools. I studied in Zurich University of Applied Science, in University of Virginia, Manchester Metropolitan University, UK, USA, Switzerland. So I know how is the feeling of introducing a new idea. Most of the people, they're having the fear of unknown. That's why we have a partner.
Is it accepted? This is the question.
Yes.
I mean, to the general public.
Yes. That's why we have the opportunity for all our students to have a joint degree or a double degree from around 10 universities today. So we work with universities in all over the world. We work with UK, with Poland, for example, with University of Dąbrowa Górnicza. In Ukraine, we are here today. In Ukraine, we work with 2 universities, Taras Shevchenko National University of Kiev, with Taurida National University. We work as well with Mexico, with Nicaragua, with Zambia, with Jordan. So we have partners from all over the world in order to make our students, if they wish to have a joint degree or a double degree, from another university in their home country or near country, that they can have it. So in addition to our degree, the student can easily just register himself for a joint degree or double degree from another university.
Do you find that in today's reality of the real world, now that they're saying that in the United States, for itself as a good example, is that 34% of the workforce is freelance or independent workers that are working on their own schedule when they want to, and it's supposed to grow by 2020 to roughly 50%. These are just numbers. I can't verify them, but these are just from what I was reading. Do you see that all universities, the way that it's going now, it's going to be the reverse? There'll be less people going to bricks and mortar, and universities will be on their own schedule and when you need it, basically.
Online is like 25 years old. The first website established, if you know, in Switzerland, cern.ch is the first website on worldwide, is a Swiss website. So it's just 25 years old, and today we are talking about 3.5 billion people or users are using internet. It's bigger than China and India together. So in 25 years, the internet has exceeded any country. The same with online. I believe students now becoming students are interested to study more online because it's more flexible. It's a study on your own terms. So if you want to study on weekend, you can study because our class, for example, is live. But we record every single class and we upload it within 72 hours to our e-campus, electronic campus. So the student can attend it during the night, during weekend. So he's not obliged to be specific hours during the class. He can just simply log in whenever he wants.
Let's talk about the level of the teachers and what is the teachers' mindsets? How have they changed?
Yes. One of the criteria we have right now in order to hire a teacher that he must be teaching in a traditional university. So this is like in order to secure the student that your professor is a professor in another university where is on-campus education, because it's quite hard to find professors who have experience or professors with experience in virtual education. So most of the professors, they are teaching, or 99% of them are teaching in another university. All of them, they have a doctorate title. This is a must. So we make sure the student that the professor has the qualification which needed according to the European system, the Bologna process. As well, they have the experience in teaching in universities. So we try to always to satisfy the student by having them a professor who is teaching in a public university. Actually, we hope that day by day that we will see more online or virtual education where professors coming with experience, with more qualification in the online or virtual education. Especially in Europe, we have we don't have actually until now in Europe an accreditation body for the online education. So in the US, there is already since 90 years called the American accreditation or American accreditation for distance, but in Europe we don't have. So we have no controlling body for the online education in order to improve it. So we believe with our professors or with the professors who will have more experience in the virtual education, we'll have more qualified team in order to evaluate what is good in online education and what is bad.
How do you percept the general public as the stigma as an online degree versus a traditional degree? I mean, how do you see that it's changing, or how?
We see that most of the students for a bachelor or undergraduate study programs, they prefer still the traditional education because parents are paying. Parents, they want traditional education for their kids.
Because people are used to it.
Yes, exactly.
This is the thing, it's comfort.
But when it comes to postgraduate studies, master and doctorate levels, no, it's becoming, the online education becoming more and more powerful than the traditional education because people have already experienced, they have already studied in a university. Okay. So most of our students are studying in a master and doctorate. So this is, I believe, it's a plus because people have experience, they have studied already, and they believe, okay, online is now a future.
When was the moment that the ABMS said, let's start this online?
The idea came from people request, and we tried to offer them something like they can have a qualified professor and worldwide accepted degrees, and without leaving their home country.
And how was ABMS, if you can? The evolution of it, how have you seen it from the beginning?
When we started, we created first of all a platform which was very complicated. So, you know, IT people, they sit together and they created a platform. And then when it comes to users,
but the IT people are not the users, exactly. Though. That's the issue.
So when we invited first of all our professors to give them the lecture about the platform, we had very qualified professors, 70 years old plus, they were unable to use it. So we had to rebuild the whole system. So we had to make it friendly user-friendly platform in order to make a professor who is 70 years old with a good qualification, top qualification, be able to deliver the classes. So that's how it became. In the beginning, we created complicated platform, high quality, top IT, and the latest technology. Then we had to go back a little bit for
the class on its own to learn how to use the platform.
Yes, and then we created a little bit simple program. So our program right now is quite simple. Even somebody who never used internet or PC is able to learn how it works within 5-6 minutes. It's not so hard, and it's always a good question: make or buy. And big fishes now started to feel that online is bigger than anybody. It's even bigger than countries themselves. How many revolutions we have seen now online has been created. So they created the revolutions in many countries, like if we are talking about Arab Spring, it's all created online.
Absolutely.
So people were online invited to attend one-day revolution against, or in order to have a new democracy or another kind of government.
How do you see it strategically into the plans while you have the entire world? You're in so many countries around the world. where does Ukraine fit into this picture, and why? And that's the other question.
Ukraine is quite a big country in Europe. I mean, it's if we are talking about number of population or the size, Ukraine is an important country in Europe. So we have in Ukraine itself around 4 partner universities, and we are working very close with 2 of them. The Taras Shevchenko National University of Kiev and the University Tavrida National University. So both universities we are working very close in order to introduce more the online education, to introduce more the virtual education, and we are as well now offering joint degrees with them, where the student can study and have like a joint degree between us and Ukrainian universities.
But do you find that, this is a 2-part question, but do you find that part 1, the Ukrainian universities are lagging behind on the online sphere, and this is why that it's a natural partnership with your school? And number 2, how do you think that the students see that your online school is actually solidifying their university, but on a global platform?
It's not only Ukraine having this problem. I mean, most of the European countries, they are a little bit behind online education. In Zurich or in Switzerland, for example, we have very fast internet. We are the first one who created the website. But if you are talking about online education in public universities, it's hard to find. So it's very, I don't know like any university which offering anyway virtual education. Some of them are giving like online classes. So it's not only Ukraine having this problem. Most of the countries in Europe, they are still a little bit afraid from online, the fear of unknown. And I believe the Ukrainian students, they are now, Ukraine is one of the most famous with IT. So the new generation are coming with very talented technology or IT skills. So I believe the Ukrainian students are very potential students for introducing the virtual education or online education to other European countries.
Do you see that not only in Ukraine, but for every government, globally or across Europe, do you see that the online experience is going to practically become mandatory as part of an education?
Most of the countries now, like I believe in Finland, if I'm not mistaken, they start to teach the kids from the 1st grade about computer. As well in Switzerland, I believe they are going to start soon. So online or computer technology is becoming a very important part. It's, as I said before, 3.5 billion living in or using internet in 25 years. So I believe in the next 10 years we are going to speak about 4.5 billion people using internet. So this topic about online or computer and technology is most of the countries, the advanced countries, they start to teach it from the 1st grade now. Our generation, they would never grow up with a smartphone and internet in their hands. The new generation now, they're born and a smartphone in their hand. And if you give them mobile without internet, they will not use it. And in our generation, if we had a phone with this SMS, it was like, wow.
So to resume a bit about ABMS, can you deliver us like one final thought about what it is, what is the whole point of it, and how can it really help?
ABMS is an idea where students, or for students, where they cannot leave their country. Students who need a good education, students who need worldwide accepted degrees or study programs. So ABMS is the plan for students who need a good education, but they cannot leave their country.
But does that mean as well that ABMS is also, is it technically a more cost-effective way also for people who cannot leave their country? Like, I cannot travel to Harvard and pay $50,000 a year, plus room and board, plus food, plus books, plus the whole bit. Is that what ABMS is? That one of the key points is that people who cannot leave, financial reasons as well. Let's talk about the financial reasons.
Yes, actually, you get the education, you pay for the education. You don't pay for the traveling, you don't pay for the accommodation, you don't pay for the food in different countries, which is quite expensive. In Switzerland, for example, some schools are charging $140,000 or euro for an MBA. So you have to travel, leave, pay in order to get an MBA. So online became or started because of the MBA programs.
Exactly.
So it is for people who cannot leave, managers, directors, they need a degree, an MBA degree. Some new companies, like big companies, they force their managers to have an MBA in order to keep their jobs. I heard about some hotels, etc. So how they can get an MBA from Europe without exactly. Job, yeah. So only online education was able to solve the problem of these managers or of those people.
Thank you very much. So I hear you only in